Earnestly Podcast here with my boy, DJ Mentor, 1/3 Mindless Wrestling Podcast. Also the host of the 30 Minutes podcast, which I asked you to check it out today. We're having the same conversation right now as we did when we recorded it, of course. So, DJ, what's up, buddy? Happy Sunday to you.
Hey, man. Happy Sunday to you. Thank you for having me on here again. Yeah, you and I, our latest episode, my latest episode of 30 Mindless Minutes, where you were the guest on my show. We had an awesome discussion there talking about body positivity and body dysmorphia. And,
right.
You know, and how we perceive ourselves through fitness and just life in general.
Yeah, I started listening to it a little bit this morning when it dropped. I'm not finished yet. I think the difference between when we do with your show there and obviously what we do here on this show is the fact that that one's obviously because the title itself speaks for itself. 30 minutes. It's limited to that 30-minute. We try to keep it at 30 minutes. Of course. Whereas this one is more free flowing and it's total whatever the fuck you want and all that stuff. So we get to deep dive and get to unpack more with these conversations, of course, here. Update, I guess, really, as we've been doing, we always check with each other around health. How things going with you? Because you have a lot going on the last couple weeks, apparently.
Yeah, the last month for me has been a bit rough. We had a death in the family about 4 weeks ago. A relatively young guy who was about a year younger than me died suddenly. So that was a bit of more than a bit of a gut punch. And then just some stuff with my kid over the last week. So the last 4 weeks has been rather trying. And then we came out of Welcome to Rockville. And that was 4 days in Daytona at a rock festival. And, my diet wasn't great. I wasn't exercising at all. And then coming back from that, I took about a week off from exercise. So slowly getting myself back into that. So I'd say for about a week or two, the blood sugars weren't bad, but they weren't great. They weren't in the pocket like I've been having them. But now that I'm back on my cycle and getting myself back into it, I'm right back where I need to be.
Was it an adjustment to adjust coming from? I'll talk about Rockville a little bit. That's part of the things when I talk about the shows itself. But was it hard for you to adjust to getting back to the schedule working out? Is that what it is? You have that one blip where you go for 4 days to do the festival. Obviously, you're not going to walk around and exercise during the festival. You're going to try to join the festival, but then you're back home and you just had a hard time adjusting immediately.
I needed a couple of days to adjust from the festival. It wasn't even the working out. Just physically, I was just spent. 4 days in the heat, walking around there because it's a lot of walking, dude. The Daytona International Speedway is fucking massive. And there's 5 different stages, and 2 of them are at opposite ends of the speedway. So if you want to go see 30, 40 bands over the weekend, sometimes more, some people try to see as many as they can. It's a lot of walking. It's a lot of running around. So, and I'm 52 years old, so, I don't recover from these things in 24, 48 hours like I used to. So for 3 or 4 days, the whole next week afterwards, I was like, I just don't have the energy to do the gym. And then, jumping back into work and getting back into your life flow, trying to restructure and get your timing all right on everything. It's one of those things with fitness. If you take a break, you almost have to start over again, even if that break is only 3 or 4 days.
Can you argue though that the situation you're in though at Rockville was kind of work on itself though?
And that's the way I looked at it. That's why I didn't really worry about what I ate. I tried to find things that weren't completely egregious. I had a cheeseburger and fries, and I know because of the fries, my sugar went up because I've got myself pretty well dialed in that I can tell when my sugar is 150 or higher. I know what my body feels like. I know what my body's telling me. So there's at least one day where it got above 150. And I think it was after I had that burger and fries. But other than that, all the walking around I did, it burnt off enough of the extra carbs and stuff. Didn't drink at all. I don't even think we had one drink all weekend.
Like you alcohol, in other words.
No alcohol. When I was straight water, I think we split they had like a little slushy smoothie thing, and she and I split one of those. That was probably but other than that, I mean, yeah, the walking around probably kept a lot of it at bay. I didn't monitor my blood sugar regularly because I usually check it first thing in the morning when I get up fasting, and then about 2 hours after dinner. And we would eat at the festival at around 5 o'clock. I didn't bring my diabetic supplies with me. So I was like, you know what? I'll check it in the morning. So when I get up.
Are you still pricking a finger?
Yeah, I'm still doing the finger prick, but I think I'm going to wrap that up. I'm due up for labs in about a month. And if my labs are still in the pocket, like if my A1s, because my last A1C was 5.7. If my next C is in that window, I'm just going to bail out on the finger sticks and rely on the A1C. And if it starts to creep back up, I'll go back to doing that. And I've been doing that because it's been keeping me honest. This is just mentally how I've trained myself. It's like it keeps me monitoring and keeping me honest and keeping the workouts going. But I think I've gotten myself into such a pattern with my diet and my exercise that I don't need that extra push. I think I've got myself locked in now.
I did the prick thing for the first maybe for 6 months when I was diabetic. Then I did for, I think I told you this, for about a year, maybe a little less than that, started using the patches, the Freestyle Libre patches.
Yeah.
And it was fine for me for a little while, but I told you I had a scare about that. I actually, strange enough, because I never get low blood sugar ever. And I went up to, there was 2 instances where I got a scare that my sugar was low. One was, one night I was going to sleep, because remember, it tracks it even when you're sleeping. It's still tracking on your phone. So I fell asleep one night, and also I got this alert from my phone that my sugar's low. Now, granted, I'm not feeling bad. I feel okay. So I'm like, this is weird. But the anxiety of it made me feel like I was feeling like shit. So it wasn't necessarily I was feeling like crap. It's that the anxiety made me feel like crap. So I panic. I go downstairs, and thank God I had a banana downstairs, because when you have a low blood sugar, you need sugar. You need sugar to boost it back up again. So I thankfully had a banana there. I ate the banana. It was fine. Okay, whatever. Passed. Everything was fine the rest of the night. Then I think maybe a week or two later, or whatever, I went to Orlando with some friends to see Fear Factory and Machine Head. And I'm walking around City Walk, whatever, because we're waiting for the show to start and all that stuff. And you have the entire day to hang out. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting like low blood sugar readings the entire day. While I'm there, I'm like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm literally eating. And by the way, I ate what I wanted to eat. I drank one soda, had burgers and fries, like you said. So there's no way in hell that I should have a low blood sugar. And by the way, I'm still feeling okay. I'm not feeling like I'm, because when you have low blood sugar, you're always feeling faint, and and that you know how it works out that way.
Yeah,
but I'm not feeling that in a sense, but the anxiety of how of the whole situation make me feel like something's going on with me. Come to find out, the patch was it wasn't working. It was a what do you call it? It was just not good.
It was like a dud.
A dud, right? So basically, I got pissed off. I'm like, what the fuck? So I stopped using it. I just stopped using it. So you know what? Fuck it. I stopped. I got discouraged. I'm not using this shit again.
Yeah.
So I haven't used it since. It's been about 2 years.
I think my girlfriend works on the health insurance side of things, so she was explaining why they won't put me on a. One, I don't want to be on a patch. I just don't want that thing married to me. But I am curious. I would like to go on one for say 3 months just to see, because I don't check it multiple times a day. I check morning and I check 2 hours post dinner. I wouldn't mind seeing what it does while I'm sleeping and what it does throughout the day when I'm working, just for a period of time. So
I would recommend it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because it's so cool to see it in real time, your sugar adjust. I'll give you an example. Yeah. So one of the things they and you probably know this already, though, they always say that, especially if you eat carbs, any sort of carbs, or especially heavy carbs, what you should do is walk after your you eat, about 50 minutes after you eat. Okay, so there was one time I had a bagel, right? I had a bagel one time, right? And then like about 20 minutes later, I went for like a couple laps around my the car park lot at my job. and you can see the blood sugar rising in real time. But while I'm walking, you can start seeing it stabilize in real time as well too. It's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
So it does that whole idea of like, walking after you eat especially with carbs. That's a real thing because it does offset, not entirely, but it does offset a massive spike, especially depending on what you eat, of course. And I've seen it in real time do that, where you see the spike, and then as you're walking, it levels off.
Yeah.
It's really cool, actually.
I have a friend of mine. He lives in Virginia, but he came down over the holidays. He's diabetic as well, and he has one of the monitors. And he was showing me on his phone, again, same thing in real time. He was like showing me the day, and there's this blip where his sugar goes up to like 175. It's like his sugar's really, really good. And all of a sudden there's this weird spike that lasts maybe an hour or so. He's like, yeah, that's where we stopped at McDonald's and I had a chicken biscuit.
Yep.
And so and for that, like I said, because if there are areas during the day where, and again, I would only do it to help me adjust my diet, because if there's something that I'm eating on a regular basis that's still spiking the insulin levels or the glucose levels a bit, maybe I want to cut that out or something. But yeah, talking about the exercise and everything, that week that I took off from exercising, when I came back from Rockville, my average sugars went up by like 25%. My post meals were hanging in the 150 to 165 window, and my fasting was that? Oh, okay, no, that was my post meal. My fasting was about 120 to 125. It was like one day where I had like a random 130 for fasting. I got back on my program, and I have consistently now for the last 2 weeks, my fasting has been under 100. And my post meals, I think the highest post meal I had was like 130. So it's real. It's like, it's a real thing.
Yeah. What I might ask this before in the past, but I'll ask again anyway, because whatever. What do you normally eat during the week? Like breakfast, lunch, dinner? Like what is your go-to meals to keep you in the pocket?
So my go-to, but my breakfast staples are exactly this. I eat, and this is something that when you look up the research and everything, I prioritize protein every meal.
Have to
eat the proteins first. So I start off the morning with 4 to 5 eggs, and I'll make an omelet, or I'll just scramble up some eggs, and I eat the 4 to 5 eggs. Up until this week, I'm going to change some things around a little bit. I was eating two turkey sausages with that. Mm-hmm. And then I make this breakfast porridge that's a combination of steel-cut oats, quinoa, which is high in protein, walnuts, flaxseed oil, chia seeds, and then you slow cook it in the crock pot all day for like 6 to 8 hours in almond milk. And then I portion those out. It ends up usually being about a half cup portion. I looked at the carb count on it. It ends up being like 50 carbs for that. But my protein intake for the morning for the breakfast was like 65, which is pretty high. Because as we exercise and we're trying to fuel our bodies and build muscle, or at least maintain the muscle we have, they tell you that for your body weight, you should eat about 0.8 grams of carbs per pound. Or if you're trying to build, it should be a pound for gram ratio. Like if you're 180, you want to consume 180 grams of protein in a day. I'm not trying to build like that, so I try to keep my proteins around 150 to 160.
So you're right. Just from the numbers, I can't do that. That stuff is so. The numbers shit is so discouraging, bro. I can't. You got to eat this one shit a day. I just eat the fucking shit. Give me the protein and call it a day.
And I do that too. I don't really. I once in a while I count the macros because I want to know, just for my own personal amusement. Of course, I don't do it to maintain. I don't keep like this fucking ridiculous logbook that a lot of people do. I don't even keep a logbook with my exercise. I just exercise. Right. If it feels good, I do it. If I feel like I can lift heavier, I lift heavier. I'm not going to drive myself insane counting every single calorie, every single carb, but every now and then, if for whatever reason my sugar has been running a little higher than I think it should, I'll count the macros to see where the discrepancy is, and then I say, okay, maybe I should eat less of that, because like we found this carb-friendly pizza crust. It's a cauliflower crust.
Right.
Because I like pizza. And we found, okay, it's a healthier option for pizza. We make the pizza. Well, for whatever reason, even after eating that, and not eating like a whole pizza, I mean eating like a couple of slices, my sugar was still bouncing up to like 150, 160. After, post meal, I'm like, why the hell? I mean, it's a cauliflower crust pizza. I don't understand why that happened. So we made the decision that, one, if we're going to do pizza, it's just going to be real pizza, and we will do it less frequently than we had been.
Yeah, my thing right now is like, I think my biggest issue for years, and even to a lesser extent now, I've done better with this in recent years because I'm drinking more water or whatever, but the sugary drinks are the things that really got me where I'm at now. It's the sodas, it's the juices, it's all that stuff because the thing is, it's one thing to eat carbs, right? And okay, it's still high in carbs, but it still breaks down. The body does not want stuff in the system that's going to spike it immediately. And the problem with sodas and problem with juice is that it hits your insulin immediately. There's no border. That's the thing. That's why I say sodas are bad for you, because it hits it immediately. Whereas even eat a bagel. Bagel's not good for you. It's not good for you at all, but it still breaks down. You want something that breaks down slow. Because
that's the complex carbs. Like last night I had sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are a high source of carb, but they're also a complex carb. They don't spike the glucose levels.
Right.
And they're excellent workout fuel. Like that's the type of carbs you need to fuel a workout, or sweet potatoes.
Are you familiar with the GI chart? The glycemic index? Okay, so what that is a chart. It gives you a baseline of things that do spike your sugar. Like okay, so for example, they'll give you like itemized things that are considered lower blood sugar. I don't know what the term is for exactly, but there's certain items that are the lower the number, the less it does spike your sugar. In other words, so anything over 70 is considered high sugar content. Anything between 55 and 69 is considered medium. Anything below, I think below 50 or 49 and below is considered low. So, like, for example, like something like, you'd be surprised by this, pasta is considered low GI.
Okay.
Because pasta, like I said, it's not great for you, but it doesn't spike your insulin like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas a cookie or a bagel or even white bread is on a high end, because it does, even though it's a food, it does raise your blood sugar a lot higher. So I if I can find it was on my fridge, and I think someone moved it, but because my doctor gave it to me 3 years ago, and I still kept that, and I used it the baseline. You guys look up on ChatGPT, and I'll give you an entire breakdown. Like you can look up let's say for example. Okay, give me an example. Give me a food right now. Give me a food right now. I'll look it for you right now. I'll tell you how high it's on GI. Give me anything you like to eat, and I'll tell you how high it is.
Anything that you know what? Just God, I don't even know. Just throw a donut up there for now, which I know is going to be high.
The GI on a glazed donut? Glazed?
Sure, just a Krispy Kreme glazed donut.
Krispy Kreme. All right, so like I told you, anything with 70 is considered high. So the GI is around 75 to 76. It's placed on the high GI category. Anything 70 above is made with refined white flour and coated in sugar glaze. The carbohydrates break down rapidly, causing a quick spike in blood sugar. Okay, so however, if you're looking at how it impacts your body in real time, the GL, the glycemic load, tells a slightly more nuanced story. While GI measures how fast a carbohydrate spikes your blood sugar, GL factors in the actual portion size and the amount of carbs in a single serving. Interesting.
Yeah, the science is very fascinating behind it. I just don't.
And the science is getting better.
It is.
It's breaking down more. And again, like I said, they're not saying don't ever have a donut. We're not saying that, because the whole idea of diabetes and all this stuff is that you don't want many spikes a day. Like, you're going to get spikes no matter what. You don't want every day is having 6 and 7 different fucking spikes. So if you're having 5 sodas a day, you're gonna have fucking 5 spikes. That's not good for your body. But 1 a day, it's not gonna kill you. 5 or 6, that's problematic.
And there is the mental health part of it for me, because if I get that 1 spike, I'm pissed off. And Tina even calls me out on it, because like I'll eat a meal and I'll eat something that I know I shouldn't, and she'll hear me and I'm doing my finger stick, and all of a sudden I'm like, fuck. She's like, what? I'm like, it's 153. She's like, That's not that bad. It's literally like one spike all day.
But you're in the pocket, though.
The day I know I'm in the pocket. But again, that's just me, man. I'm so obsessive, obsessive to a fault, really, really probably more so. And I keep telling her, I'm like, my A1C is going to go up. I know it. And just because I had that week of Rockville and then that week after where I wasn't quite on target. And, now that I've dialed it back in, but I still, in my head and in my heart, I know the A1C is going to be about where it was, maybe even a little bit lower, because my goal is right now I'm on metformin twice a day. I'm on.
So you're still doing it? I thought you were gonna cut back on it. Last thing on the podcast, you said you would talk about cut back on one a day, maybe.
I'm waiting on my next labs. My next labs are in a month, and if my A1C is where it was last time or lower, I'm going to talk to my doctor. I see him in August. I'm going to say, look, I've got my diet is tightened up. I'm exercising regularly. My A1C is now, because 5.6 to 6.5 is considered borderline. I'm right on the cusp of not even being borderline. If I fall below that threshold, I'm going to look at him and say, look, I've managed to do all of this with the medication as well. I want to cut back to once a day, give myself a 3-month cycle and see how I do. And if it starts to creep back up, then I know.
You know what you could do if you're worried about spiking, if you want to still have a security thing, you can get the extender.
Yeah.
The metformin extender. So what that is more so it's double the amount, but what does it? It's more of a slower coating of the metformin.
There are other side effects to being on the gastrointestinal side effects with the metformin that I'm not crazy about. So, which is part of why I want to cut back on it. And also, my girlfriend.
Have you felt that?
Oh yeah, the first month was horrible. The first month on metformin, I thought somebody was ripping my guts out. It was awful. It's leveled out. There are days, but we're talking health, might as well get a little personal on it. There are days when going to the bathroom gets problematic. And you've got to drink a ton of water, just water. And there are days where I feel like I've drank a gallon of water.
Do you feel stuffy?
I feel stuffed up, bloated, and I have trouble going to the bathroom.
That might be my issue I've been having lately with
So this is why I'm trying to cut. The other thing, and my girlfriend noticed this because it's nothing that I noticed, just because I'm used to working out and smelling like a guy who works out. She said it altered my body chemistry to a point where I smell different now. So, and that's
smelling worse?
It's just a different, she's like, my scent is different. And she's like, and that's the thing. You can look that up. Medication will do that. It will change your body odor.
That's interesting.
And she feels like has done that. So that's another reason why I'd like to at least cut back to once a day or get off of it completely if it's possible at all.
Yeah, I think my issue is that I'm on. Well, again, I probably can start getting off some certain meds now because of other meds I'm actually doing okay on. But kitty. I love cats, dude. In addition to having diabetes, I have hypertension and high blood pressure, and of course, and at the time. At high cholesterol. Now the cholesterol has been in the pocket for 3 years. The meds helped a lot, to the point where I told my doctor, who I'm supposed to see this Tuesday, but I might have to reschedule that probably, for my blood work. I'm scared to see her. I'm scared to see her, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. Because I gotta get that fucking 8 down back to 6 I was before. If I can get off at least one of those meds, it'd be great. The cholesterol one would be nice to get off first, although they do say that the cholesterol one is actually safe and it's probably good to have as a coating, whatever. But if I can get off metformin at some point down the road, I'll try to do it. But it's been 3 years. I'm still on it now, and I'm nowhere close to being off it yet because the number is still kind of in the higher side. So I need to get that handled. I mean, the good news is that the diabetes is being controlled. It's controlled. So I'm not any sign of dying. You know what I'm saying? Which is good.
Right.
But I don't want to be there anymore. I want to be at a point where I'm living to the point where I can actually enjoy my life and not worry about medication.
Yeah. And that's really the goal. And I have 2 goals. One is to live, comfortably and happily, maybe get off the medication if I can. I'm trying to avoid insulin like the plague. Just the idea, I can do tattoos any day of the week. Actually, I have a tattoo appointment scheduled in about 2 weeks. But the idea of doing regular insulin or being on an insulin pump,
it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen with me.
Horrifies me. I refuse.
Yep, same here. Is that even an option?
Yeah,
I will stay on metformin for the rest of my life. I have to before doing that.
That's my goal, is to avoid going on insulin, even if I have to stay on metformin for life.
I hate needles. First off,
that's me.
So off the rip, It's not an option.
Yeah,
metformin or die.
I see people and they have like the insulin pump, and I don't want to be tied to one of those. I'm too active.
Yeah,
I don't want this. This is part of why I won't do the patch, because I'm so active. The idea of it being there, just with my mentality, will bother me.
I will say this though, as someone who had the same mentality before I took the patch, here's what I'll say: it's not as bad as you realize.
Yeah,
it's not as bad as you realize. But it's because I had the same problem too, also. But because it's put away, I mean, obviously you wear shirts at work and stuff. It's put away. You're not going to see it. Right. It doesn't hurt either. Correct. It doesn't even hurt. You don't even feel it when it goes in your thing. And I'm as someone who hates needles, I'm telling the truth. You don't even feel it when it gets inserted. But I would definitely encourage it. I would encourage it for you just to see, because you like the numbers and the science.
Yeah,
it'd be cool for you to see it. So I would try. I recommend it for this 3 month cycle just to see how it does, because you'd be surprised how cool it is. I stopped because of the scares I had.
Right, and then it's understandable.
Right. Now, that doesn't mean I wouldn't go back to it again. I might go back to it again at some point down the road, maybe sooner than you realize. But right now, I don't want to. That's all. I just don't want to.
Yeah. No, I got it.
I did see yesterday that you posted on Instagram though the workout you did with the kettlebell.
Yeah.
That was pretty fucking dope, bro.
Dude, I ripped that off the guy that I found, and I think it's called the Savage Army, is one of the people I follow, one of the fitness people that I follow on Instagram. And actually a friend shared it with me, and I'm like, I like that. And at first I wasn't like, because I've got a kettlebell and I used to do just like the kettlebell swings. I added another one yesterday. I forget what it's called. Again, it's something I found on Instagram. It's called a Russian something or another. But yeah, man, dude, that workout will blast your shoulders and your core. It's freaking, it's intense.
It's all in here and all here.
It's all upper body.
Doing this, right? Yeah.
And that's something that I've started to incorporate, because I for the longest time as part of my workouts, I was very into isolating muscles groups and things like that. But I found there is a benefit to doing larger muscle group exercises. Planks. This exercise, I don't even know what the hell it's called, that's on my Instagram. Kettlebell swings. There's another one that's called, again, you can do it with a kettlebell. You start in a plank position and you literally like move the bell back and forth. I posted that one on Twitter several months ago. Again, great total body exercise. I'm finding a great benefit with doing that versus in some cases, obviously I do the isolation so I can build the muscle and aesthetically keep a certain shape, but for overall benefit, I'm starting to dig the total body exercises more.
I've always said that using the body's resistance is actually healthier and better for you than even doing weights.
Yep.
Because the body responds.
Planks, dips, all of that.
Yeah, squats, all that stuff. I enjoy that more going to the gym, honestly. You don't go to actual gym. You do it at home, right?
No, I have a gym in my garage. I'm actually my girlfriend is currently irritated with me because I was at Academy the other day looking at more gym equipment. I found this big, because I want cables, and I found a really good one. It was only like $1,300. It really wasn't all that expensive. It had total cables. It had a Smith press machine. It had something for legs, and I think it actually had a dip attachment on it. I'm looking at it like, this is everything I need in one thing.
Absolutely.
For like $1,300. I was like,
it's funny because like
I didn't pull the trigger on it, but
I have the space to do it now too. Especially, I'm lucky because where I live at my development, we have a gym there. It's open all the time.
Yeah,
and it's not bad actually. But I would rather have something in my residence. I'd rather have someone where I can just walk out my room, boom, go right here, right next to where I'm recording, boom, make a spot right there, and just fucking go ham.
It's easier for me to be consistent knowing it's right in my garage, because I had a gym membership for a while and I was pretty consistent. The problem with that is the only time I could work out was in the morning. So I'd get up at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, pack all my work shit, go work out, shower, gym, blah, 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 go to work. And it's too much, man. Yeah. It's just way too much. And it's an expense I don't need when I can do it in my garage.
I will say one thing though, before we close the discussion, for me, because I one thing I do every day, I do walk. I haven't done it yet today though, but I do walk every 2 miles every day, no matter what. Start my mornings, no matter what. Boom, start my day. It's been awesome because my wife's new job now. She's up early in the morning all the time. So now I have no excuse not to get up in the morning. She's up, I'm up, out the house. Boom, goodbye. 2 miles. But what I've done now in recent days is I've implemented more jogging with it now, and I'm doing more of a jogging even more than I used to. In other words, because I used to always do only 2 miles walking only. That was it. Then I started doing a little jogging, but very, very little. Like I did like one stretch, and that was it. The last few sessions I've done, I think I almost jogged almost half the 2 miles I was doing yesterday.
Something with the jogging, and this was in part of the research that I did.
Yeah.
One of the reasons for people like us who are diabetic and we're trying to monitor those glucose levels.
Yeah.
One of the things that can raise your glucose levels and increase insulin resistance is the stress hormone.
Yeah.
Cortisol. Heavy lifting raises your cortisol level. So does running. So you have to be careful with that. That's why they recommend just doing the incline walk after a heavy workout. This is kind of my pattern. I'll do a heavy lifting workout and then immediately get on the treadmill and do my 2 miles. And I've noticed that I don't do that post-meal. I do that pre-meal, and I still get the lower glucose level benefit from it because the walk will carry over for 6 to 8 hours afterwards. So it's one of those things. And that's, again, I think part of my diabetes, and I can attest to this because my life for the last 6 years has been super, super fucking stressful. I think it's more than my diet, and definitely it had nothing to do with my lifestyle because I've always been active. It was the cortisol levels. It was the stress between the job, between family stuff. I think my cortisol levels. So I'm trying to find ways to lower, my stress hormones, which I think has been huge as well. And for me, the walking has been crucial for that.
Yeah, I've heard science about how like running in general is not good for your heart.
It's not. It's there. You can get.
It's a muscle. Heart's a muscle.
Yes.
Stress. Yeah.
Yes, you're stressing the heart. This is why they recommend the walk. And I was actually talking with my ex-wife because she was a runner for the longest time. Okay. That was her thing. She ran. She's the one that did the 5Ks and all that stuff. We talked about it probably about a month or so ago. I said there's more. The newer studies are saying you can get the same cardiovascular benefit or more from a brisk incline walk for 25 to 30 minutes, which is, depending on your speed, about 2 miles. Yeah. Than you can from trying to run on a regular basis. And that's why they're shifting the focus from running to walking. Like the brisk walk at an incline. Obviously, you got to get the heart rate up, but you got to find that target fat burning heart rate. And if you run, you actually go above that.
Because I think there's a mentality, especially as men and older men like you and I, who've been around for over 46 years, that if you're not doing more, pushing the gas, you're not doing enough.
Yeah, when that's such a falsehood. It's such a falsehood.
Right. We're undoing a lot of things we were taught as young adults and kids and whatnot. The science does not support that, though. Right. There's a reason why people who run all the time also die young.
Yeah,
because the heart, it's not good for your heart.
It's not. It's the heart. I read a study years and years ago. Our hearts as individuals are pre-programmed to a certain number of beats, and then it's done. Like, and whether it's done at 95 or done at 65, it's pre-programmed. And if you're stressing the heart, you're burning those pre-programmed. And like I said, it's not an exact science because obviously you can train your heart to become stronger and you may increase that lifespan, but still overstressing it is not good either. And it will kill you sooner.
You have fear of dying?
Oh, absolutely. This is why I'm doing all this.
Yeah, me too. I think about it every day of my fucking life. It's gotten worse the last 3 years. It's crippled me in some ways.
Yeah. There's two things. One, I'm getting older. I'm going to be 53 in about 3 months. And as I creep closer to retirement, that is looming. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be retired, literally old enough to retire in 15 years. Okay. And that's going to go by quick. And then two, I look at the general health of my family, and a lot of it was lifestyle. So there's a lot of lifestyle issues to take into effect there, but I don't want to be an old person. And then I take into account the people around me peripherally who have died young. And just because I think I might live, until I'm 90 and be relatively healthy, there's no guarantee of that. And that terrifies me. So if I can take every precaution I can now, and I should have been doing this 20 years ago, more diligently. Like I've worked out for probably 2 decades, intermittently and sporadically. My diet was up and down, depending on what I was doing. But I wish I had been as strict and disciplined 20 years ago as I am now. Because anything you can do to lower your risk of dying young is a net positive in my book.
I agree with you 100%. I will say in my family, because we've had that, the generation ahead of me and even two ahead of me. My grandfather didn't take care of himself. He passed away. He was in the 70s, but he didn't eat well, didn't exercise, none of that. My uncle passed away about 11 years ago. Another one who didn't really take care of himself, stress, worked all the time, blah, 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 blah. My father, however, is now breaking the cycle. He's turning 70 in December, and he's a fucking gym rat. He comes on this podcast all the time, by the way. And he's a gym rat, and he works out every day in the gym. He's always on my ass about eating healthy and that. And the generation now, my generation, myself, my brother, even my sister, and all my cousins and stuff, they are much more consistent with working out and eating healthier. So my generation is the one that's going to probably end up breaking the cycle in a big way.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So.
Yeah. And
it's
you and I will continue to keep each other honest here.
Absolutely. No, because I think my fear of death, honestly, I know we're getting a little morbid here. This is what it's for, right? This is what the podcast is for.
Yep.
I think my fear of death is it's not that I'm fear of dying, because we're all going to die. All of us, no matter what. My fear, I think, as I got older, is I don't want to die young. I don't want to die young with young children, with my a wife. And I have an extra pressure on my wife now, who tells me all the time, this is why she's on my ass on my health stuff, because she has enough trauma in her life with her dad dying young and whatnot, and she doesn't have a lot of family as is anyway. I'm pretty much her only family pretty much now at this point. She's not close to her mom. She has her aunt, and then her grandfather, who she's not really that close to necessarily, but he's in California. But it's pretty much me and the kids.
Yeah,
So she constantly tells me, especially the last couple of years, do not add trauma to my life. So there's
extra
pressure.
No,
not the fact that she's a widow, but also adding trauma, more trauma, because she has trauma with her dad dying. So that's why she's on my ass all the time about this stuff. You know what I mean? So even when we fight now, she's always like, take your health. Like, fuck, I get it. And here's the thing. She's right. She's fucking right. It's just that you have to lock in, and it's tough, the nutrition part. So that's the pressure I face every day when it comes to, eating better, working out, staying on top of my game. I will say my kids are starting to get into it now. My kids are starting to get into like working out and stuff too also. So that's encouraging me. But yeah, my fear is more dying young. I have two boys I love, 13 and 9 years old. I want to see them get older. I want to see them finish high school, go to college, get married, hopefully have grandkids. I want all those things.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna have those things if I'm not doing the things necessary to stay alive. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you got to do that for you and for them, man.
Well, we'll check in again on the health thing. Well, obviously, we'll do that every so often on both our shows. So, you teased it a little while ago, Rockville, which took place early May, in Daytona Beach. I guess give me a synopsis. What were the highlights? What bands were the highlights for you this year?
Bands are the highlights for me. We got to see Dorothy, who we love. We got to see Five Finger Death Punch, who we hadn't seen in a few years. I absolutely love them. I don't understand the hate that band gets. I think they're incredible live. I think they're a great studio band, a great live act. A couple of disappointments. One, it rained again. Back in 22 when we went, jokingly, we call it Rainville. Several days got rained out. A lot of bands that we missed. One of the bands that we missed in 22 was Guns N' Roses. We got to see them this year, and it was, I don't even know how to put it. Guns N' Roses is one of my all-time favorite bands.
Correct.
Just when I think about musically, I also am angry that we got robbed of potentially 3 decades of excellent music because Axl Rose couldn't get his shit together.
Did you see them back in the day, in their heyday?
I saw them in 92 with Metallica.
Oh, the summer tour.
I saw them on the summer tour with Metallica.
Faith No More, right?
It went in Faith No More. We missed Faith No More because my car broke down about halfway.
Where did you see them? In New York? In Giant Stadium?
No, I saw them at the is in Orlando.
It's the Citrus Bowl.
The Citrus Bowl. We saw them at the Citrus Bowl in Orlando.
Yeah.
I saw them there. I had not seen them since. So I knew they were getting older because I have a friend of mine who was a big fan around the same time. He and his ex-wife saw them about 5 or 6 years ago, and they said they're getting older.
real quick, was James playing guitar, or was you only doing the singer thing? Because he got burned on that tour.
This was literally a month after that. They had the guitars from Metal Church playing with
John
them.
Marshall, right? John Marshall.
James was just singing at that time.
Okay, yeah, because that's after August. Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah, that was right after the explosion, and he got burned.
Right.
But yeah, Guns N' Roses, like, it was fine. It's very obvious, and I hate to be like this, that it's a cash grab. Because
it's a cash grab.
it's a cash grab. It really is. I don't think these guys really truly like each other any more than they did in 1994. But I think they all finally collectively, like, Slash was doing okay with. He did a couple albums with Miles Kennedy, which are excellent musical albums, and then he had Slash's Snake Pit, which was pretty decent. And then, unfortunately, Velvet Revolver passed away when Scott Weiland died, which Velvet Revolver was really good. So Slash has had some post Guns N' Roses.
Their first album is amazing, though.
Oh, yeah.
I played last week, actually. It's an amazing record.
Actually, Slither, I think, was the single. I forget the name of the album. But
it was Slither.
Slither was the single that they released.
I think it's self-titled.
It may have been
self-titled.
But that was such good stuff. So Slash has had some post-Guns N' Roses success. Axl Rose, the album, The Chinese Democracy, was a complete flop. I don't know that he really did much beyond that other than touring under the Guns N' Roses banner. I think he finally looked around and said, look, rent is due. I'm going to have to suck it up and hang out with these guys whether I like them or not. Contraband. Okay, that's right. Actually, I have that album somewhere.
It's a great record. I love that record.
Oh, it's a great record. It really is. But it was nice to hear the songs live again. Axl, not certain tones he can't hit like he used to, but he was never a fantastic live singer. Like, he had good days and bad days. So
yeah,
that wasn't too bad.
You know why, right? It's
the smoke and the drink.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, dude, like, when he's smoking and drinking heavily, he sounds like shit. When he's dialed in, though, Axl Rose was awesome back in the day.
Yes, he was.
A couple of other highlights. We saw an all-female band from Mexico called The Warning, who were a pleasant surprise. And another one that we were hoping to see, but they weren't originally on the bill, is a Mongolian band called The Who. And I fucking love them. They're so good, just such a good energy. And we saw them either 2 or 3 years ago, and they were on one of the small side stages. And we saw them, and I remember looking at Tina back then. I said, next time these guys play here, they need to put them on a main stage. They put them on a main stage this year. They drew a fucking crowd. And the crowd that they drew stayed until the end. Like, there was a couple of younger kids that were next to us. They'd never even heard of them before.
I
said, stay where you're at. I said, stay where you're at and listen to this band. And they stayed for the whole set. So, like I said, those were some highlights.
Back to GNR. So I have a couple of friends who saw them last month here down in Hard Rock. And everything you're saying right now, I got the same feedback.
Yeah.
I got the same feedback. A couple of coworkers and buddies of mine saw them at Hard Rock, and they said it was not as what they thought it would be. And I'm like, well, he's a little older too, also on top of that, but the dude did not take care of himself. Even in his peak. You know, oh, my throat hurts. I can't sing. Well, you're drinking and smoking all the time. But maybe you should not do that anymore. You know,
well, it's interesting. You expect everybody to get older. Like, Slash still sounds good. Duff is still an amazing bass player. Beyond those 3 core members, like, I couldn't tell you who their backup guitarist was. I couldn't tell you who the drummer is now. It's not Matt Storm anymore.
Duff's still there, right? Duff's still there, right?
It's still Axl, Slash, and Duff. Like, the 3 core guys are still there.
Right.
Historically, like, when we saw him in '92, Axl played he was the whole Guns N' Roses experience. Axl played the piano through November Rain, everything like that. This time he had somebody else playing piano. It just one of the things that I loved about that band, they came around when I was like 16, and that was my rebellious angst.
Of course.
I understand they're 60-something-year-old men now, so they're not going to come across as that same rebellious thing that they were from 88 to 94, but it really just didn't have that same feel. Like, they played the songs. Okay, it was what it was, but the overall vibe of the show was very mass-produced. Like, it just felt like produced rather than raw, visceral energy. I didn't get that raw, visceral feeling.
And this is where I love Metallica. Okay, this is why I love Metallica. James Hetfield sounds the best he's ever sounded in his entire career. As a singer, he's taking care of his voice. He's in James's voice in the last. I'm talking about live, not in studio. I'm talking about live. In the last 10 years, not even longer, probably, has taken better care of his voice in ways where he can actually sing now, bro. Like he actually can sing like a singer, and he sounds great live, and it's insane. And funny enough, that tomorrow will be 1 year since I saw him live up in Tampa. And granted, it was the worst of the 5 shows only because they're a lot older. You're not going to get the same energy they get before because they're in their 60s too. But one thing you can't say, they didn't sound good. They sound amazing. They still sound great. They still project well. You know what I'm saying? And you don't get the same feeling like from like bands like GNR and others. Because Metallica really, I think they still are locked in. They still take care of themselves. They still, it's not a money grab for them either. I mean, they're making money obviously, but they're still a consistent band putting out records so often. So I guess it's a little bit different for them than it is for a GNR who's like, okay, well, we're not together, but you know what? Let's do a tour. Or System of a Down, for example. Like, they're not together necessarily, but we're doing a couple shows here and there. Metallica is still in operation, still going 45 years later. And I respect that, dude. That people, they still pass my music, though, even in the 60s like that. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've seen Metallica 4 or 5 times. I'm trying to remember exactly how many. I've never been to a bad Metallica show.
Yeah.
And I've never seen, just because I watched, for a while, I was like on this live music kick. I would find live, like, shows and things. I'd watch them on YouTube or on TV or something like that. And any live show I've ever seen with Metallica has always been good to excellent. Guns N' Roses, hit or miss. Same thing with, like I said a few minutes ago, Five Finger Death Punch. I've seen them sound spectacular. And if Ivan's going through some mental shit, they don't sound as good. He doesn't sound as good live. And you can definitely tell there's a up and down with him. Not that I didn't enjoy the experience, because I love them. But again, depending on what he's going through in his life at the time, Five Finger Death Punch can be a different experience from one show to the next. There's not that level of consistency that Metallica seems to pull off.
Would you say of the Rockville shows you've attended, the festivals you attended, this is the worst one?
I would say it's of the 5 we've attended, it's my 5th favorite.
Yeah,
like,
you don't sound as excited about this one you were the last couple.
To encapsulate this entire discussion, the lineup for Louder Than Life dropped. If I had known what the Louder Than Life lineup was going to be like in September, I would have skipped Rockville this year and gone to that.
It's in Ohio, right?
It's just outside. It's actually in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky. Okay, close enough. Okay,
yeah, it's in Louisville, Kentucky. Had I known what the lineup was going to be there before I bought Rockville tickets, I would have skipped Rockville this year and gone to Louder Than Life.
I think you told me Iron Maiden's going to be there, right?
Iron Maiden is closing out on my birthday, dude.
You gotta go, bro. You gotta go.
We're not gonna make it. We're on a cruise 3 weeks after that. We've got so much shit crammed into a little window. Believe me, dude, it was the biggest struggle for her and I to look at each other and say, we can't.
I have the same problem with Lauren. Like we're going to New York again, and that's gonna be our yearly thing now. Going to New York for like 4 or 5 days, and I still have to figure out how to see Metallica in Vegas next year with those ticket sales. But I mean, oh my god, the tickets are nuts for despair. But same problem. You don't sound as excited about this show that you were last.
No, it's probably my 5th favorite year. Like I said, we found a lot to enjoy, and we still probably saw probably about 25, 30 bands. If the rain hadn't come, there was like one of the bands I wanted to see and she wanted to see. She's a huge Breaking Benjamin fan. I like Breaking Benjamin. She loves them. I love Avatar. They're probably my favorite current band right now is Avatar, and they both got rained out. Like they rescheduled the shows till later in the day, but like Breaking Benjamin was going to be at like 10:30, 10:45.
They
Avatar
are coming down here in a couple months, though. You know that, right?
They are, yeah. Breaking Benjamin's coming. Avatar currently is on tour with Metallica, but they're over in Europe.
Right.
So I'm hoping if they bring that tour to the States and they even come within our vicinity. She wants to see Metallica. I'd like to see Metallica again. If they come with Avatar and they're even remotely in a drivable distance for us, I told her, I said, we're going to find a way to make that happen.
Yeah, Metallica is right now only committed to the Spirit shows right now for the time being for the winter. Beyond that, I don't know if they have anything planned for the U.S. They did that last year. They did the U.S. tour last year, which I went to, of course. We'll see. I'll keep updated by everything.
Let me know if they come.
Metallica, I'm always plugged in. I'm always plugged in Metallica shit, so you know how I am with that one. No, Avatar.
Even if they come down there by you, we'll go down there and visit you.
Absolutely.
And we'll meet you at the show.
Absolutely. Avatar's good. I mean,
I love them. I think they've got.
I don't know who they are. I've never heard them before. That's news to
me. They're actually the lead singer. I think is from Helsinki, Finland. They're from Sweden. The band is. I'll send you a link to some of their stuff, and I like. he's my current favorite metal singer, because he can do the growl, he can do the heavy, he can do all that. The fucker can sing. Like, he's got a hell of a good range, and I love that. And he can go from the to the melodic in like the snap of a finger. Like, to me, and he's very evocative in his voice, which is what I like. He's the closest I think this generation has to a Rob Halford.
Okay.
In my opinion. And he's such a showman. Like, we've seen them 3 times now. And then I think you'll love Avatar. I'll share you. I've got a couple of songs on my playlist. I'll share them with you from Spotify. I think you'll like Avatar if you give them a listen and do a deep dive. Because like I said, some of their stuff is really super heavy. And then some of it is a bit more melodic and radio friendly. Like, they got this broad spectrum of stuff that I just love.
When are you retire from doing this fucking festival? You have threatened it already that it's around the bend, apparently.
We've told ourselves that this may be the last one, unless the next one, like, if next year's lineup is spectacular. But what we're not going to do every year for the last 5, as soon as the tickets go on sale, regardless of the lineup, we buy the tickets because we lock in at the early bird pricing. I'm not going to do that this year. I'm going to wait until the lineup drops. And if I have to spend $100, $200 more, if they drop a lineup that I'm excited for, we'll probably do that. If all 4 days are awesome, we'll buy all 4 days. If not, we're going to find a day that has the most bands that we want to see.
That's what I would do.
And just do the one, because after this one, I told her, I said, it's just too much.
If I'm doing a festival, honestly, I'd rather go to Europe and go to like a Download or a Donington or one of those big festivals. You know what I mean? Those legendary festivals where all those bands are guaranteed to be there and the crowds are fucking apeshit. European crowds are so much different and better than American crowds. Like, I'm sorry, they are.
Hellfest or something like that got like over 200,000 people over the course of their week. And I'm looking at the lineup. I'm like, this is a pretty fucking ripping lineup. Hellfest is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, did you see Seven Dust while you were there? Because I know they were at
no, Seven Dust was one of the ones that got bumped, and when they got bumped, they conflicted with another band that we really wanted to see.
Oh, God.
So unfortunately,
thank God I didn't go.
Seven Dust this year.
I didn't go because I would have fucking lost my shit.
Yeah, they got bumped. So,
sucks. All right, one more thing to get out of here. Did you finally finish the Hulk Hogan documentary on Netflix?
I did. I finished it up last night. I was like, shit, I didn't finish that documentary. EJ and I are going tomorrow. He's going to talk about it. Let me go ahead and wrap this up.
I guess I already give my thoughts on this thing because I did a solo podcast about 3 weeks ago about it. So I'll just bounce off of you and give me your thoughts.
Yeah. It was hard to watch. I have to keep in mind it's a WWE production. So it's going to be what it is. And it was meant to how do I put it? Dig just enough into the dirt so you don't look like you avoided it while still making him seem sympathetic at the end. I think it was fairly well balanced, if not entirely honest. There was quite a bit to unpack. I think that the most tragic takeaway for me, it really emotionally hit me in the last 30 minutes last night.
You too,
One, that the guy's gone, and that's a significant chunk of my childhood that is now gone. And then when Vince was giving his end of the eulogy at the actual funeral, what makes me the most sad is that these two men who created, like I just said, a significant chunk of my childhood and an enjoyment of a thing that 50 years later I still enjoy, that their end legacies have nothing to do with that. That Vince's legacy is now the scandal, that Hogan is unfortunately tied to his own scandals. And that just makes me sad that now neither one of the two, and it's their own fault. I'm not trying to make either one of these guys seem like they're being victimized, because they're not. Right. It's their own fault, nobody to blame but them. But it just makes me sad that that's their legacy. Like, it's not, hey, we created this entertainment sphere and we still enjoy it today, and it recreated, and it, quite frankly, saved an industry from becoming, like Triple H said in the documentary, going the way of roller derby. And that really is a thing. As much as people don't want to give Hogan and Vince credit for that, that's literally where wrestling was headed, guys. If you pay attention to all the historical documentaries, the territories were dying. That there was a reason why Crockett and Vince were able to snatch up so much talent, because the territories were dying. Promoters
they're the last two. They're the last two. The last two.
Yeah, they were the last two standing, and they were able to snatch up so much talent because they were actually paying people. And this isn't some shit we speculated. People who were there in the moment will tell you these stories. So yeah, for them to take it not only nationally but eventually globally, I don't ever want to excuse anything that Hogan got himself into. Okay, it's because obviously he offended a generation of people. And the bigger thing there is that he never apologized for it.
That's the problem. It was apologies, right?
And I think had he gotten in front of it and said, hey, look, because you've been in dark periods in your life. I know I have, and I've probably said some shit during the worst lows of my life that I look back at now and I'm like, God damn, that was dumb. Unfortunately, his was on an audio call that got blasted out to the world. I think had he gotten in front of it and said, look, this is where I was in my life. I was depressed. I was going through a divorce. I was broke. I was middle-aged, and you go through emotional changes in that part of your life and then compound everything else. I said some stuff that really is not who I am. And I hurt a lot of people, and for that, I'm sorry. And he didn't do that, at least not openly. Now, there may have been Black people in his life that he's still cool with, that he probably called and said, hey, look, brother, that ain't me. And doing that one-on-one doesn't fix the problem. When an entire culture heard you say a word.
And especially when you're Hulk Hogan, the biggest name in this industry, you have a responsibility to get ahead of this thing, address it, especially people like myself who are, fans of the sport because of you. As a Black man myself who watched this thing because of you, was I offended? Now, me personally, was I offended what he said? Not really. That's whatever. It's, to me, everything comes back to, okay, did you mean it? Because I mean, but I'm also different from everybody else, though. I don't get triggered by things like that in the same way. If the intent isn't bad, but I don't know if it wasn't, because we don't know, because he wasn't apologetic, so we don't know.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, in my heart, do I think that Hulk Hogan was a white hood wearing racist? Absolutely not.
No.
Do I think that he used that word more than once? Absolutely.
Well, a question.
And here's the double standard. And this is where I think a lot of people lose the narrative. There have been stories of Ric Flair openly calling Black talent that word in locker rooms.
Yeah.
Okay. And yet Ric Flair is still today accepted by Black culture. Ric Flair has recently, in the last 2 years, been on rap albums, and things like that. So what are we doing? We're going to crucify Hogan because it was a very public and global phone call that we heard versus what you heard Ric Flair said in 1978 in a locker room to a Black person.
I think the reason that it is that way with Hogan is because, forget the fact that what he did, that came out 10 years ago, whatever. He was right on a downslope with people because of the politicking and whatnot, and some things that he said that not racist. That's just things he's said and done in the past that people say, raise eyebrows. So you have all that stuff that was leading up to that, and then you have this thing on top of that. Yeah, that put over the top. That's why.
And I agree there. Like, aside from just how the general public viewed Hogan after I think after the steroid scandal is when things for him really. So he had you could lean into it with the NWO because now he's a bad guy, because now it's okay to boo the guy. We can, and you can, as a wrestler, okay, they already hate me. Let's just lean into it, and you can make some money at it. But after that, when we got into the later years, I think people had started to realize, hey, this guy just ain't a heel on TV. And I'm not saying he was a bad person, but I do think he kept his business about him while trying. But there's also a fact here, and people need to realize this. There's a lot of people made a lot of money following Hulk Hogan. And to this day, the industry still makes a lot of money because of the path that Hulk Hogan laid out. And we can't. Two things that irritate me about the conversation when it comes to Hulk Hogan, and it's not the racist stuff or how people feel about that. It's this revisionist history that, one, we aren't where we are right now because of him, because we are, and two, that he was never any good at his job. And that's the one that I have the biggest problem with.
Because that's bullshit.
And you're seeing this even play out now with modern wrestling. Like, people saw The Undertaker in an interview, and he was wearing a Blue Lives Matter shirt, and all of a sudden the internet turned into, well, he was never any good anyway. Bullshit. They're doing it with Triple H right now. Well, Triple H was never any good anyway. Stop it. Okay. Hulk Hogan was fucking awesome at this. We don't get where we are.
DJ, I feel like that's probably generational, though. I have to put a little more work into this, but if you see those accounts, for example, that do that, because the only X you have the people say that is people who are online. Okay,
yeah,
I have to see what age they are, because it's got to be a generation below us and below around my kids' age, because like I don't think, and this is the problem you have, it's not just with wrestling, it's in society in general, that people don't know how to have a conversation or discuss things without having to interloop feelings into it. Well, yeah. I feel this about this guy, but it's not good anymore. That's ridiculous. First off, on its head. But I think that's also something that, because of the society of the clickbait era, everything is fast, microwave society we live in now. People don't understand wider, broader conversation and broader elements of these things. I think that's why you have a lot of that. I think that's a generational issue more than anything else.
You're probably right on that. I would say that the average person who looks at it that way is probably under 40. I would even argue to say under 35.
Under 30, I say under 30, honestly.
Maybe under 30, they're having a much different conversation than guys like you and I are having, because, again, of the way we engage and the way we grew up engaging. Because before social media, you and I actually had to sit down and talk face to face about this stuff.
Yes.
And but getting back to like the documentary, there's so many things about it. What I liked was the historical deep dive on his career. Like the early first episode, when we're going back to when he was training and things like that. It was fun to watch that. One of the more tragic aspects, though, was where he reached that point where he couldn't separate Terry from Hulk. Mm-hmm. And the two, and it absolutely ruined his life. Like, it ruined his marriage, ruined his career, if we're being honest, because he couldn't tell the difference. And I think that's where the bleed over from, I'm this guy that's making you guys all this money to, I'm just a dude from Tampa, and like the story that Bret Hart tells about how he went up to, talk to Hogan and shake his hand, and Hogan pretty much blew him off. I'm like, what is that? Yeah. Like right now, Bret Hart is keeping WWE afloat as best he can, and you're coming back in knowing you're about to step on his toes. You can't at least shake the man's hand.
I also think and I'm not getting Hogan a pass here, because I think Hogan's a dick for doing that.
Absolutely.
And by the way, Bret, for all the whining he does, you never get this feeling he's lying about anything either. But I think also because back then too, also in those days, you had to be protective of your spot. And Hogan, I think, still did not know if he didn't commit to leaving WWE yet either. He was still on the fence, and he wanted to make sure his spot was still there. So by any means necessary, I'm going to make sure to protect my spot, even if it means fucking with Bret Hart. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
But that's also the way the industry was back then too. So,
and that's the thing about the industry that a lot of people don't understand. When we talk about competition, it is not hey, I'm a wrestler trying to beat another wrestler and win the match competition. That's not where the competition is. The competition actually takes place backstage.
Correct.
There are only so many spots in those upper areas, and everybody's jockeying for a spot and a lane somewhere. And Bret Hart was the guy. It was Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, 1A, 1B in that period of time. And Hogan was like, okay, at that edge of, am I retiring? Am I not? And going to WCW at that point in time was not on his radar. I don't even think he considered, because he probably looked at it like, they're not going to pay me the kind of money that I'm making in WWE. Little did he know that Eric Bischoff was prepared to throw him the moon. Mm-hmm. And I think if he had gone a year or two sooner, we'd be having a much different conversation about the history of professional wrestling. Right. But he was committed to staying in WWE, which is great. As a Hulkamaniac, that's what I wanted. I never wanted to see him go to WCW. I think him going to WCW saved the industry. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want to see it in 1994. And that's why when Hogan came back in the moment, I didn't have a problem with the WrestleMania match where he came out and saved Bret Hart and then went on to beat Yokozuna. Like, in a bubble looking at it, the crowd popped. I thought it was cool. And I'm a the biggest Bret Hart mark in the room. Like, to me, he's on my Mount Rushmore professional wrestlers, Bret Hart is.
Right.
But in that moment, I understood. I'm like, Hogan's a bigger moneymaker. Not that Bret Hart's not excellent. Not that Bret Hart hasn't been working his ass off trying to carry this company in Hulk Hogan's, absence. But Hogan is still a bigger draw.
And let's be clear, Vince is the boss at the end of the day. And Vince knows where the money is. Vince knows. And if Vince had any inkling that Bret Hart was closing on Hogan's level in terms of like draw, that doesn't happen on Vince's watch.
Right.
Vince did this because it was familiar. Because, okay, I need help. The business is going down. Hogan's available. Let's lean into the Hogan thing for the time being, and we'll go from there. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's Vince. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. As good as Bret was, and for the excellent work that he was putting in, there was still a gulf between him and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And being realistic, there was a gulf. And you have to set your fandom of wrestlers aside and understand that, and understand why bookers do what they do. The booker's job is to make money. And they're going to go with the money. They do it at the indie level all the time. You may have your best friend, but if your best friend is not drawing, you may put him in a spot, but you're going to put your top draw in the top spots. That's just what you do.
Right.
Because you want to put asses in the seats.
Right. Because even myself, as a Hulkamaniac, then, now, forever. When that moment happened, I popped. Hogan's back. Hogan's back. Yeah. He's been gone a year. He's back. So, I mean.
Like I said, isolated in a bubble, the moment was fine. Looking at it from a broader perspective, okay, it was a shitty move to pull. It was absolutely backstage politicking, and it bit everybody in the ass because at that point, the fans just were tired of it, because I think while there was still a popularity gulf between Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan, the product that Bret Hart was giving people at the time was different, and it was something they were ready for. They liked the celebrity of Hulk Hogan. They did not like the presentation of Hulk Hogan in the WWE, and that carried over to WCW.
Right. Vince just didn't know it yet at the time. He didn't know it.
Yeah.
He was still trying to figure it out. I do think the moment is, even though Bret didn't get that moment, he did get his moment eventually, though, the year after.
Yeah. Bret eventually won that battle.
Yeah.
When you look at it in the grand scheme of things, Bret Hart won that battle.
So can we argue that storytelling wise that, I mean, we may hate the Hogan moment with it at 9, but a year later, the way it played out, that it was actually a great story.
It actually made Bret Hart's freaking moment bigger, because at that point, you kind of knew some shit had happened, and you're like, okay, so when they finally crowned him, like properly crowned him, it was awesome. It was awesome, and I think you're right. It was more awesome because he got screwed over the year before.
Correct. To me, watching the documentary, I think I stated on the pod what I did a couple weeks ago. The most intriguing part of the document. I said pod. I meant documentary. The most intriguing part of the documentary for me was him and Linda.
Yeah,
the marriage. There's no doubt that even now, she still loves that guy.
Oh,
there's no
yeah.
doubt.
And
there's no doubt. Right. There's no doubt that even when they got divorced, even as things were heated as they were, they loved each other. There was a thing. They were very open about how they were as a couple, sexually too. Also, they were open about that as well too. Also,
yeah.
So it opened about a lot of things, and I think they had a connection. But I also think, to your point, that's where the Terry Hulk thing blurred lines. Because you're Terry at home with Linda, this and that, but then on the road, you're Hulk Hogan. You got to keep this image and all this stuff, and then you have all this access to other things and whatnot. And that can meld into, even though you're in a marriage you love, that can still meld into the marriage and hurt. Things can get hurt, and eventually, if not addressed, things can fester. You've been married before. I'm married.
Yeah, and it's
natural.
I'll equate one even further, because you probably have and me to a slightly lesser degree with actually being in wrestling. Mm-hmm. You were a musician. You were a touring musician. Mm-hmm. Okay, on the road. You know what you have access to. You know that comes with a certain amount of celebrity. That celebrity comes with a certain amount of attention. And when you're young, dumb, and full of, as they say, that attention sometimes gets the better of you. And I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying, from a perspective, myself being a wrestler, and, again, that coming with a certain amount of celebrity, you get that attention, and that attention feels good. And if you can't separate the two, I've got a good woman at home, you're going to fall into those trappings. And I think that's exactly, I don't think he ever messed around because he didn't love his wife. I think he was caught up in the celebrity, caught up in the moment, and caught up, like you said, in being Hulk Hogan more than he should have been.
Right. And that's the thing. But to me, that was the best part of the documentary. The only things that were new to me in the doc was, like, I knew some of the childhood things before, but they went to a deeper dive on that in the first episode. Like, him going through music and his relationship with his father and his parents, whatnot. But everything else on the surface, we all know already. We've been fans since the 80s. So, but other than that, like, the stuff with him and Linda is truly the best thing of that documentary. And obviously, the other thing that was disappointing was the fact that Brooke was not part of that thing. I really like to hear her thoughts on this. I know there's some stuff that she's done on the internet. I think she might have had an interview with Bubba Love Sponge recently.
She did. She's been on his podcast. Actually, I think she's almost a regular guest on Bubba's, because I think Bubba's I think he's off of terrestrial radio now. I think he's strictly podcast format. I followed him on X for years and years and years. And actually I was following him regularly on terrestrial radio when the shit with him and Hogan hit the fan. I was listening in real time when that happened. So I was just front line with that entire implosion when the sex tape was revealed. She's been a regular on there. She's refuted a lot of the stuff that's in the documentary. She was kind of estranged from the family. I think when the shit went down with Linda and Hogan, and Linda taking on a extremely younger boyfriend, and Hogan giving away 70% of what he had, and I think she just finally looked at all this and said, I can't. And that's understandable. When your family is dysfunctional and you're a mess and you're trying to start a career and be your own person, you got to pull yourself away from the dirt.
I initially thought she took Hulk's side initially in the divorce.
She did initially, but I think he and her had a falling out as well.
Wow, that's it. So
I think if you did you listen to the audio that came out when he got hit for the N-word? Did you listen to the totality?
The actual audio?
Yeah.
No, I have not. The entire
thing. So there are two takeaways from that audio. One of them, obviously, everybody found offensive, but there's another part of that as a father, I found offensive. He was using language that I would not use to describe my child's sex life. Oh. Okay. And for me as a father, that is, and having that conversation with somebody, if she's going to F one of these people, I'd rather her F one of these people than F this type of person, is more or less what
that part I remember. That part I remember.
Okay, yeah. And
rather be a rich guy, rich N-word.
Exactly. I'd rather her, F some rich basketball player than this. Okay. And to me, and I don't know that that's where it fell apart, but if I'm looking at this parent to child, if I said that about my daughter and that were broadcast to 1 billion people around the world, I would fully expect my daughter to disown me.
Yeah.
So this is me spitballing, but that type of language, again, as much as the N-word offended me, as a father, him using that language to describe his daughter's sex life and relationship life offended me almost as much.
It's sad that he dies and there was no closure there.
None.
Supposedly he didn't. She has kids now, and he didn't see his grandkids. It's sad. It is. It's a very tragic story when you think about it at the end of the day, and not just from the Hulk Hogan perspective, more from the Triple A perspective. In terms of like family, like he was close to Nick, but that was it. I mean, I know he found Jesus, and I know he found Jesus late in his life, which was good. Obviously, and whatnot. There was some stability there, and he was starting to rehab his image a little bit too. Also, although, like I said, people say he got booed because of the politics and whatnot. I disagree with that. I think that was some of it. I think a lot more of it is probably because here's the deal. Remember that Raw he got booed on, and people were like, "Oh," and I said no. That is very short-sighted because Undertaker and Triple H also associated even more so with Trump than Hogan today, and they got cheered to hell.
Roman Reigns openly admitted in a podcast that he supported Donald Trump.
Yeah, he did.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
It's lazy. It's lazy.
Very much. It's everybody wants to project and use that as an excuse. If you don't like the guy, you don't like the guy. That's fine.
Right.
But don't bullshit the narrative.
Right. Exactly. But he also said that too. Also, Hogan said it himself. Has said himself that it's because of politics. No, it's not the politics, bro.
No. What I would tell people, if you're on the fence with watching this documentary, what I would tell you is that whether you hated Hogan at the end or you were still understanding and supportive of the guy, go watch it. There's no great revelations. There's some interesting family dynamic that'll probably fill in some gaps here and there. It's not, like I said, not some great revelation. I think it's a nice watch along. It's 4 easily digestible episodes. It gets a little emotional in some spots. I think there are areas where he's still working, and I think there's some small areas where he's shooting, and I think he's being genuine. And you have to, within yourself, try and sift through, okay, where's he working and where's he shooting? And that's just been, I think that would probably be the story of Terry Bollea's life.
Absolutely.
Where was he working and where was he shooting?
Absolutely. There you go. Look at that. DJ, great job, brother. Go ahead and plug the work.
This was fun.
I know you love this stuff, right?
I dig the hell out. I love coming home here with you.
And there's more. There's more. There's more wanted to ask you, but you know what? That's why I love doing more pods on the road. It's leave some meat in the bone, and we'll come back maybe a couple weeks or maybe a month, whatever, and we'll do it again. So
we'll talk about more. Currently, 30 mindless minutes. Myself and EJ, we have a nice little discussion there about body dysmorphia and our workouts and mental health. If you want to hear me make a complete disaster out of myself, the Mindless Wrestling Podcast is also live this week. We talked about
that was funny.
Clash in Italy. Apparently, in my aging brain, I melded Saturday night's main event and Clash in Italy. And apparently, this super show took place on Saturday night last weekend. And I corrected, like an idiot, my co-host Jason, who was telling me, Sunday night. I'm like, Jason, what are you talking about? It's called Saturday night's main event for a reason. Because my dumb ass didn't know what show we were talking about, because my brain just melded both shows together. So if you want to listen to that and listen to me make a complete buffoon out of myself, that is the Mindless Wrestling Podcast.
I texted you during my walk, and I told, listen, don't because I was listening to the show while I was walking. I told you, don't kill yourself, number one, because you had repeat matches from both shows, okay?
You did.
The WWE calendar is crammed right now, bro.
It's crammed. It is.
So if you're not, unless you're like a, obsessed fan that knows every nook and cranny of this whole thing, you got a lot going on. You got your car thing going on. You have your regular job. You got concerts. Come on, bro.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, you know what, just ease up on it. It is what it is. I'll address it next week for about 2 minutes on the show, and then we're going to keep it moving.
It was great content, though.
It'd be a great bit, though.
It's great content, brother. Good job, as always, EJ. Good job.
Thank you, EJ.